Hello, my name's Charlotte Smith. I'm a freelance journalist. I work mainly in radio and TV, but I do write a bit and I also host conferences. So I thought I'd start with a quick canter through my career. I actually started as a teenage volunteer on local radio. Then when I became a student, I carried that on, but I also got involved in the campus radio station and the student newspaper. And then I got onto a BBC local radio trainee scheme. That saw me work all over the country on local radio, eventually settling in Leicester. After that, I went to national radio, then to regional TV as both a producer behind the scenes and a reporter on air. From regional television, I went back to radio and was part of the team that helped launch BBC Radio 5 Live. After that, I moved into consumer affairs, first with BBC Radio 4 and then off to daytime television based in Birmingham. Now that is where my career took a bit of an unexpected turn. I was in a lift actually at the BBC in Birmingham and I bumped into an old colleague from 5 Live who at this point was running the Rural Affairs unit. He had mucked up the rota and had nobody to present Farming Today the next day, so I did it. And that changed everything. I really enjoyed it. I eventually took a job with Farming Today and that led, because it was in the same office at that point, to a role on Countryfile. I was a Countryfile presenter for 10 years and that came to an end when the programme went to prime time and the BBC misunderstood the ability of a middle-aged woman to walk, talk and chew gum. So at that point I was sacked and I went back to radio part-time because by this point I had 2 children. I worked for Radio 4 in all sorts of programmes and then eventually found my way back to a part-time job on Farming Today, which I still have, and also 5 years ago I went back to Countryfile as one of their presenters. So that's mainly what I do now. My first advice to people who say that they want to do what I do is always don't. This is not a sensible career that your parents are going to approve of. It doesn't have a sort of entry-level job and then mid-management and then you go on to run the place. As you can see from my career, it's just not that organised. It isn't, despite what you might think, a career where you are going to earn an awful lot of money unless you are very, very lucky, and most of us aren't. It's very competitive. You are going to have to really want to do this and you're going to have to be prepared to train. You need to know about law, you need to know how to treat people, you need to think about journalistic ethics, and if you end up specialising, as I do, you will need to understand and love talking about fascinating subjects like the Common Agricultural Policy. If you do want to do this, and I still haven't managed to put you off, then I think you need to be nosy. You need to be good with people because you're going to have to get them to tell you things that perhaps they don't want to. You're going to have to be good at detail and you're going to have to be good with language. You don't necessarily need to study and get a degree. I would think it's a good idea because I'm a great believer in a plan B. Many people set out to go into journalism or into television and it doesn't work out. If you've got a degree, then you've got more choices for what plan B might be. If you are thinking of doing a degree and journalism and you can do a science degree, then there is more call for journalists now with a scientific background because most of us are arty-farty arts graduates. So, if I really haven't managed to put you off, I can tell you that it has been great fun to do the job that I do, and I would recommend it as long as you're not sensible.